Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for those people who are in a relationship, and this is going to be primarily a romantic relationship, but you could talk about platonic connections as well, I suppose, any type of relationship, but some of the elements here speak to committed partnership, romantic types of relationships. But this is between Sagittarius and Pisces. I have a lot of fun with these because I don't even consult a website. I just tick off my own list. And I did this in like a few minutes because I could just immediately think about what they would have in common, what they might not have in common, and how it could all shake out. Now, I happen to know a couple where the man is a Sag and the woman is a Pisces. I haven't seen them in many years, but as far as I know, they are still together and they're a very close couple. So believe me, it can work. Even though Sagittarius and Pisces square off because they square each other. They're both mutable signs, and they happen to be 90 degrees apart. So these are two mutable signs, and so that is one thing that they have in common. I'll talk about the things that they may have in common that can draw them together and be common ground. So you may, if you are one of these signs, you may be attracted to the Sag or the Pisces because both of you are fun loving. You may even meet this person in a place where people are just having a good time. I was going to joke and say, meeting a Pisces person in a tavern sounds about right. But no, I mean, even if it is like a bar, the Pisces person could be in the open mic and the Sag. I'm a sun in Sagittarius, full disclosure here. And so both of these signs just love to have a good time. They're also, both of these signs are easygoing. Now, these are generalizations, and they will, mileage will vary because we have other influences, okay? Like for my case, I have the moon in Virgo, so that can be kind of persnickety, and that can make a person like me sometimes get a little bit peevish and, get caught up in some kind of detail that's irking me and critical and those kinds of things. Not in a mean-spirited way, but just like that it is irritating, that kind of thing. So, but in general, these two signs are very like just mellow, easygoing, not looking for a good time, not really trying to always be serious or something like it. You think about a sign like Capricorn, or trying to always be doing something that is productive like Virgo. Both of these signs can definitely just relax, let their hair down, and do things just for the fun of it. Both of these signs are creative. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is very dreamy. There's a lot of imagination, imaginative tendencies with Pisces. And with Sag, it's a fire sign, and fire signs are very expressive. And whatever that mode is for the Sag, it's something that they feel like they have to do. And so maybe it's some kind of a creative activity where you find yourself with that other person. So whether it's community theater, an open mic, I don't know, ecstatic dance, who knows, a jewelry making class, a writer's group, whatever. Both of these signs are spiritual. Now, Jupiter is the ruler of Sag. It's the ancient ruler of Pisces. So they have that connection via Jupiter. And both of the houses of Sag and Pisces are both spiritual houses. The ninth house is Sag's, 12th house is Pisces. There are some differences between these two houses because for Sag, the ninth house is, to me, more of what I would call the organized religion, because it is the house also of philosophy as well as the law and higher education. And what I see as common traits between all of those topics are that they have their own set of, rules or whatever you want to call it, belief systems. And the 12th house, which is ruled by Pisces, and it's like an ethical thing too, ethics. The 12th house, ruled by Neptune, it can involve past lives, can involve, spiritual dimensions. It's not grounded, and it's not, there's nothing like distinctive about it. Neptune is all about dissolving. And so the ninth house to me has more form to it. It is a house of the mind, the ninth house, or so this form may be of more of a mental construct than anything, in the physical world. However, the ninth house is also long distance travel, so you can think of those that definition as the borders of different countries or what have you. So I feel like, they approach God in different ways, but they both approach God. And so that's the important thing. Now, of course, there are going to be atheists that are Sagittarius and Pisces. Again, these are generalizations. But even like atheists, one of the things that I find fascinating about atheists is that they're always talking about God, even if they're trying to negate the existence of God. So they're much more connected to God than somebody who's an agnostic who just doesn't care one way or the other and is just kind of on the fence. So an atheist, and also an atheist has their own belief system. It might almost be an anti-belief system, but it has, they have their own philosophy of life. A humanist who believes that you shouldn't worship anything that is invisible or believe in anything that's invisible, but they are very big on celebrating the accomplishments of mankind. And that, to me, is still, somebody's belief system. Okay, so that might be something that you two have in common. Now, you're both mutable signs, which means that mutability is changeability. And that means that the two people can be flexible. It's kind of difficult to be dealing with somebody, and this is coming from me being a Sag, I can just say this. It's like if I think about myself, it's kind of hard to deal sometimes with fixed signs because they're very stubborn. They are very set in their ways. They're not necessarily really, I would even say capable, unless they really force themselves to just shift. They dig in their heels when they want something or when they think something, they believe something, and it's hard to kind of get them to see things a different way sometimes. And Sagittarius and Pisces and Virgos and Geminis are all mutable signs, so they can listen to somebody else tell a different perspective and go, hey, you know what, you have a point. Or, I think that I'm thinking more in your way now, and I've kind of changed my view. And it's no big deal. They just do it because they're open to change. And another way that this can show up, and maybe it's a little bit superficial, but let's say you're going out to dinner or something, and I don't want to pick on a fixed sign, but let's say you're dating a Taurus and they want to keep going to the same place every time you go out. You will find that with fixed signs. Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius is that they just, when they like something, they will want to repeat it over and over again, and they won't want to deviate. And while that can be okay, it can get kind of boring for a mutable sign because we are very open to new things. We want to try new things. We don't want to just do things over and over again. It's funny when I think about myself, I have Taurus rising, and I do have that part of me that can repeat things that I like. So it's not, you see, this is the reason I keep bringing it back to me is because I am a Sagittarian, but I do have these other influences, and you might too, if you know what your moon sign is or your rising sign and your rising sign. So you can see how it influences you in different ways at different times. But overall, I think that even people who have these other influences will find that they tend to be open to new experiences. And this, even though it seems a little bit superficial, you would be surprised at how I think that over time, when people are not compatible in this way, it can kind of really start to take its toll because relationships, as with all things in life, I believe are for the purpose of expansion. And if two people are not going to, kind of explore new territory as a couple, they are going to become stagnant, and they won't have growth, and they will actually probably just kind of become stale and eventually drift apart because one person will probably grow more than the other, or they will grow in opposite directions. So I do think it's important to have these experiences together, and these can be on the mental level. It doesn't have to be going out to dinner or anything like that. Just your interests and the things that you bring to each other that each person is stimulating the other person. Both of you are passionate or emotional. I call the fire signs passionate and the water signs emotional. And, it's kind of, it's a bit of semantics there, I guess. But I would say that, fire signs, when we get excited about things, it's not really about us as individuals. It's about the idea of it. So I'm trying to think of something that I'm excited about. Well, it doesn't matter. Anything that you are interested in. It's not bringing it back to you as an individual. It's just like, wow, this is so, I'm, like when I was really immersed in poetry, it wasn't just about me writing poetry. It was about the experience of it, being turned on to new poets. And new could mean from, 30 years ago, but just ones I had never read before, and sharing it with my partner and things like that. But it's not like me as an individual. Even when I'm writing it, it's like it belongs to everyone. So with people who are emotional, water signs, are the big ones with that. Everything is connected to their own experiences. So they're emoting, and that is their personal feelings being, expressed to the other person. And so while it can get, for sometimes this isn't going to necessarily bring these two people on the same page, at least they have these qualities. because even though earth signs are supposed to be very compatible with water, sometimes a Pisces person, if they're involved with, let's say, a Virgo or Capricorn, they might feel like this person is too dry. They don't really seem like they have emotions at all. And I feel like they think I'm hysterical, or, whenever I get moved by something, it doesn't have to be like a quote unquote negative emotion, but just any emotion can kind of be off-putting to earth and air signs because they are pretty detached in their own ways. So a Sag will at least understand to some degree the emotions that a water sign is presenting, and it may not bother them. Now, again, I will get into when it does, but there's at least some kind of similar expressive tendencies with both parties. Now, let's look at where things could clash. Now, remember, these are two signs that square each other. In order for it to really be a square, though, it has to be within a certain number of degrees. I don't know the exact number. Sometimes the orb can be as wide as 10 degrees. So, but I don't know about I'm kind of doing this for the sun signs. Sometimes I'll say the moon can be included here, but it's just too convoluted for a title. So I'm just saying Sagittarius-Pisces relationships. But as two signs, as a whole, they clash because they square each other, which means that it creates friction. And even in personal relationships that are, platonic, if you have friends who are these signs, you may, see how, even if you really care for these people, there are certain things that may rub you the wrong way about that person. And they may feel the same way about you, like there's an irritating effect. Sagittarius needs a lot of freedom. Now, Pisces isn't necessarily one of those water signs like Cancer, for instance, that is totally maybe even like possessive. I think that, I do believe that Pisces can get jealous, but usually this is coming from maybe insecurity more than like that attitude of Taurus of like, no, you are my possession. Because, see that ring on your finger, see that contract that we signed, that's proof that I own you. So Sag needs freedom, and this is going to be true for all relationships that Sag has with water signs, where the water sign is more domestic and Sag is more out in the world. It's just the male versus the female energy of these signs. And that can drive the feminine sign crazy because they want to keep that person at home. They don't want that Sagittarius roaming around because, they feel that their partner belongs at home. And that's just how it is. Pisces needs direction. So Pisces is looking for somebody who is stronger than them. And stronger is a relative term. I think that the yang quality of a fire sign can give them that kind of masculine charge that Pisces needs to help them kind of take charge of their own life in a sense. And this is going to be obviously not true for every Pisces person. There's some Pisces people who are more like Virgos or more like Aries, and with the Aries it could be that they have personal planets like Mars in Aries, since Aries is adjacent to their sign. So It's not going to always be like that. But in general, Pisces may be more passive and Sag may be more of the aggressor. And that can be okay, like in heterosexual relationships. If the man is the masculine sign, that tends to work better than if the man is the Pisces. Because then it's like, I always I always use the example of Madonna in Guy Ritchie, because he was a Virgo and she was he is a Virgo, she is a Leo, and he's a feminine sign, she's a masculine sign, and they always called him Mr. Madonna or something like that. And he is a director. He has his own. Now they're not together. I think they've been divorced for many years, but I'm just saying that probably was one of the things that irked him, is that he was seen in her shadow. And sometimes I think, especially with Pisces men, they can be quite macho, or water sign men, I should say. They can be macho, and even if they're a feminine sign, they can be very like a man's man type of energy, and not want to be in the woman's shadow if the woman is more aggressive, which a fire sign like Sag will tend to be. A Pisces person will tend to be more passive in general. That's just how Pisces is, but it's also a feminine sign too. So you know what I mean? So it's like both of those things. Neither one is particularly grounded or responsible. Well, I'm putting myself down, so there you go. But I think about myself, and I think about Sages that I know. Sagittarius is a sign that is half man and half horse. So the man part is supposed to be the part that is thoughtful and serious, and the horse is wild. The animal part is wild. And, definitely well-rounded or balanced Sages can have both of those sides. But even with the man part or the human part, that doesn't necessarily mean that the person wants to be disciplined in the classic sense of the word, because the ruler is Jupiter, and Jupiter is like, let's have fun today because we don't know if tomorrow is guaranteed to us. Eat, drink, and be merry, that kind of mentality. So, I could even say like indulgent, like both of these can be self-indulgent if they're not careful, because Jupiter is excessive and Neptune can be addictive. So they might bring out the worst in each other in that way, of the undisciplined or irresponsible, ungrounded parts of the person. Pisces is sensitive and Sag is blunt. Sagittarius tells it like it is. Pisces is very sensitive. There's always that classic misunderstanding between water signs and fire signs, because fire signs will tend to just say what they feel, and the water sign is kind of like a snowflake. I'm just being funny. The water sign is sensitive, and they take things to heart, and they may think that the Sagittarian is being cruel, is being hurtful, intentionally hurtful, and not realizing that the Sagittarian is just telling the truth. And that's an important thing here, because Sagittarians really believe in the truth. And Pisces, one thing about Pisces, and it's because Neptune is the ruler, is that Pisces is an escapist type of an energy because of Neptune. Neptune is an escapist energy. And Neptune wants everything to be shimmering in this fantasy, heavenly realm. And the reality of everyday life can be very hard and harsh for a Piscean and a Pisces person. And so if someone tells Pisces the truth about what is going on in the world, how they feel about the Pisces and what they're doing and all this, and the Pisces finds it disillusioning because they love illusion, they can, feel that it's hurtful. But Pisces is a secretive sign. It's an evasive sign. And I put down here that it shades the truth, and that's being kind. Pisces can be, this is obviously the lower type. The more imbalanced can be dishonest, deceptive. And sometimes, unfortunately, they can believe their own lies because there is such a strong fantasy element with this sign. Now, this is, again, going to be those who are imbalanced. But, that's just because of the Neptune influence. And so Sag might think that is wrong, or that there's something that's a flaw in the character of the Pisces person because of this. At the very least, I would say for sure that Pisces might be secretive about their feelings. Even though they're very emotive, they might not share all of their feelings. They might be evasive about some of their comings and goings and doings, if the Sag asks. Now, it's funny because I put here both are changeable. Well, I was talking about how that can be a good thing. How it can be a not so good thing is if both of these people are changing so much that they never stick to anything. And that can create a lot of chaos. That can create a sense of inconsistency. When you do things repetitively, even though sometimes it can be in a rut, it can also create a grounded routine. And so these two people may be very haphazard in their habits and, going to bed at different times, every, different nights, just doing whatever they feel like. Maybe they're doing things in the moment, but they're not really thinking about the future. And there's like a lot of changes, and they would benefit from some kind of routine, but they're both mutable signs, you see. So it's hard for either one of them to stick to their guns or routines, I guess you would say. So anyway, I hope that this resonated. And if you would like a relationship reading where I actually look at your chart and another person's chart and kind of compare what's going on, if there's a specific issue that both of you are dealing with, I can kind of look at it from both angles and help you to understand that other person more, perhaps. And I have other types of natal chart readings. You can click on the link below to find out more information. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.